everyone. Welcome to Midwestern Samoan YouTube channel, and just wanted to give a little bit more in-depth or details about the Samoan language, or Gagana Sāmoa or Gagana Sāmoa, and just give the basics, a good foundation or wha'avai to build on, to learn more about the language and how important the language is to the culture. And it's the reason why I even do this in the first place. So so we're going to start from the very, very basics. So here on this slide, you see the 5 elements of spoken language as, in general. So we have pronunciation, so how the words sound, pretty important. And then 2, the grammar, how the words are combined. And then 3, the actual vocabulary of the words, and to build that bank of words to pull from. And then as you build that vocabulary, then you can learn to speak it with, combining the pronunciation, the grammar, and the vocabulary to make fluency, to speak it smoothly. And then as you practice that more and more, that you'll start to comprehend things, or the comprehension, you understanding the words when they're spoken fluently. So a little bit about the language. You have so before, if you notice, the letters in Samoan, they look the same as the English letters, right? And so the current Sāmoan Language organization was systemized by the London Missionary Society at first, and into the written form in the early to mid 1800s. And before that time, Samoan was just spoken. That was it. So, thankfully they came in and provided that. And so now we have more of a something that's easier to learn from, right? So we have the thing about the Samoan language. I think I read somewhere a great word. It's highly stratified, meaning there's different levels in the Samoan language. So I just gave a little bit of an explanation here. The 3 main levels of the Samoan language. You have the common, or the colloquial, which is what you would hear, every day. But that can even be broken up into 2 subcategories, which is we call it the ta form, where, everything's going to be pronounced the way that you see it. So I gave an example here, wha'awhitai, which means thank you, and tā noa, which means bowl. And the way that they're written, that's how you pronounce it. But then that's the more proper form. But then you have the ka form, which is very casual, and just, it's so casual that when you see those words like wha'awhitai, the way you'll hear it and the way people say it a lot is wha'awhikai. So they changed the T's to the K sound. And then in the word tā noa, which means bowl, you'll hear ka ngoa. So not only did the T change to a K, the N changed to a G sound. And that's how we pronounce our G's, is a nga, like the end of the word, like sing, like when you sing a song. So at the end of sing and song, the NG sound, that's the N. We will turn the tā noa into ka ngoa. And so that's the ka form. And then, so that's part of the common, or the colloquial level. And then there's more of a respectful language, which we call ngana fa'aloalo, which literally means language respect. So in a lot of languages, they put the adjective afterwards and then the noun before. So if you translate that to English, in English we always say I don't like we would say Sāmoan language, right? But in Samoan, it's language Samoa, which translates to Samoan language. So you have Gagana Sāmoa. And then the Gagana Sāmoa is more of the language you would use with strangers, professionals, and chiefs. So there's certain words that you wouldn't use when you're speaking to be respectful to these strangers or professionals or chiefs. And then you have the oratory language, which is the highest form of language, and it's super important, especially in like special occasions, and we'll use that at like weddings, funerals, things like that. So that's the ngana fai launga, which is literally means language and like do speech. So you make a speech language or oratory language, and that's that language used by the chiefs or the makai or matai at ceremonies or special events. And if you've ever been, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know, you get to the end of whatever event, party, celebration, or ceremony, and then you start hearing a Samoan language that's could still be unfamiliar to you, even if you know Samoan. So that's the oratory language, and then that's just a little bit about the history of the language. So now we'll go into the basics, like how to pronounce when you see these words in writing, and the alphabet starts with the vowels. And you look at this in English and you see A, E, I, O, U. But in Samoan, it's A, E, I, O, U. So the sounds for these are going to be that. You see an A, it's going to be A. Like in the word water, wa, A. So I gave some examples here, ala, apa, ata, fala. So those are some good words to practice, your ah. And then down the line, you have e for wet, and then you have words like ese, pele, pepe, keke. Oh, I guess we're going to go over that in the next slide. So the pronunciation of those consonants, the P and the K, you'll notice, I'll go over that a little bit later. But then you have the E, which is I, for like in the word ring, E. You have ili, bili, lisi, isi. So there's, again, more practice words for each of the vowels. And then O. I couldn't find a word in English to give the O, like really be pure O. Toll was the best I could think of, but that still kind of has the toll, ol. It's you want more of an O. So oso, loto, polo, ono. And then U, which is the U, like fluke. That's the best one I could think of. Fluke, u. So you have the words umu, ulu, tu, and susu. And so those are good practice words for those vowels. And now we have the consonants. And there's not very many consonants in the Samoan language. And that's why you'll hear when we speak English sometimes, especially, coming straight from the islands, the certain sounds will be kind of hard to pronounce. Like you notice there's no B or Z in the Samoan language. So those sounds are unfamiliar to us. But these are the consonants here. Fa, nga, la, mo, nu, pi, sa, ti, vi, he, ka, ro. And then there's a little apostrophe looking thing, and we call that the komaliliu. So it literally means like turned around comma or like turned comma. But it's like up. And so the I put down here the P and the K. They're not pronounced as hard as you would pronounce it in English. Like if you see the word ka, you like in English you'll say ka. Like the word for cook in Samoan is kuka, right? And if you saw that, it'd be Kuka, and you want to say kuka, right? But it's just the K's are not that hard, and then the P's also are not as like hard either. So like even I can't think of a but polo, right? If you see it, like you'll see polo, right? You'll want to say polo, but it's not a but it's like a cross between a P and a B. And so, and then the G's, we went over that, the NG. And then so the he ka ro were actually added to the alphabet later because of more words coming from foreign languages, so to fit those. And then the macron. So we call that the fa'amamafa, which literally means to make heavy. So macron, you see that over a vowel, then you'll emphasize that syllable more. And the general rule is whenever you see a word, if there's no fa'amamafa, then the second to the last syllable is the one you would generally emphasize. Like even if there's only two syllables, then you would emphasize the first syllable. Like I have an example here, and it'll change the meaning of a word completely. So that's something to just remember. And it can be embarrassing sometimes because you might even say something almost inappropriate, right? So in these words, you have tala. So that's only two syllables. So you would just emphasize the first syllable, and it's just tala, which means like a story or to talk. Then or kala in ka form, right? And then you have these macrons over both of those ahs, and it turns to ta'ala or kala, which means dollar. So you can see how much of a difference, where you emphasize different syllables in the same spelling of a word makes a difference. Then you have words like moli, which means orange. Moli means light. And then matua, there's three syllables there, right? Matua or makua. So you would emphasize the u because it's the second to the last syllable. So it's matua, which means like older. And then when you have the macron at the end or the fa'amamafa, you have matua or makwa, which you would use that before like an adjective to say like I guess that's an adverb, right? To be extremely something, like extremely or very, like even mamafa, right? Or makwa mamafa, right? Or matua mamafa, like means like extremely heavy, right? And then you have susu, which means milk, and then susu, which means wet. So see how the macron is super important to when you're learning the language. Another one this is a big one is the diphthongs. A diphthong is when you have two vowels together and then pronouncing them. So these are just some examples of when you have those two vowels together. And this also helps to make different sounds. Like, there's no W in the Samoan language. So when you put OU together, like in the words lo and mo and fo, it sounds like a W at the end, right? So that's how we are able to create more of like what I think they're voiced consonants, like vowel sounding consonants. So like even the Y, there's no Y in the Samoan language. So you have the oi, and it turns into oi, like in oi, poi, toi, right? So that sounds like a y at the end, but it's not. It's oi. And then you have oi, which is oe, and a, and I. So that's another one to pay attention to. Like when you see that AI, you want to say a, like in English, like in the word paid, but it's I. And then the difference between I and I. So there's an AI and an AE. You don't really hear much of a difference, but it's important to know the difference, like kind of in your mind. So if you say those vowels together, to know the difference and to be able to say them, even those tiny little differences between them, they'll change the meaning of a word too. So just to pay attention to that. And ow, like those get mixed up. So I put some examples down here. You can screenshot this or whatever for practice. You have lo and lo, mo and mo, fo and fo, po versus po, oto versus oto, right? So just you can go through this list. I guess I'll just give them to you so you can hear the difference, or like really pay attention. Like oi versus oi. So you have poi and poi, and toi, and tutoi and momoi. So those are you can see the differences there. And then you have le versus le. So you have pe, se versus se, ne versus ne, and tape versus tape, or tape, right? Versus tape. So, and then you have I versus I. So you have lai versus lai, mai versus mai, pai versus pai, and maya versus maya. That's a hard one, but you can maya versus maya. So that's the I versus the E. And then au versus au, or fau versus fau, mau versus mau, pau versus pau, sau versus sau. I don't know. Hopefully you can hear the difference. Like in my mind, they're different, but it's hard to hear. So, and then when going back to the respect language compared to the colloquial language and even the oratory language, or the Gagana Sāmoa. So that's the oratory language. These are some terms that you see in the left-hand column, the common term that you would use in the common language. And then in the right-hand column, in each of these boxes, you have the honorific term, the one that to show that respect and to show basically show that you know a little bit, right? And even that you're trying to learn more of the custom, that hey, this is the word I would use when addressing like a chief, or addressing professionals or strangers. These are the terms you want to use to give them some respect in the language. So that's the basics, and this is just the first part of many that I want to go over. But this is very important, to go over and over again. And hey, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, subscribe, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can, and in a timely manner. And so yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.